Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Noelle and I review and unbox subscription boxes here on my channel, and today I actually have a one-time book box from Once Upon a Book Club. It is one that I purchased on my own so that we could use it for the Book Nook, which is the book club that we run through the Nobot Nook, which is our private Facebook group for viewers of this channel. So I know that was a lot of sort of vocab, but yes, indeed, we have now had a book club for a year and a half or a year and 3/4, but this was actually our first read for the year because there were some delays with another box that shall not be named. So when we saw this announced back in April, we were still hoping our book club would get back on track, but we decided this would be a fun summer read. And honestly, we did talk about this in our final book club discussion, but you know, the cover of Husbands and Lovers, which was the title, really does kind of look like a fun summer read. And even the Husbands and Lovers sounds like maybe it's going to be a little spicy and mysterious, but honestly, it was not like a light summer read. It was still enjoyable. It was great for book discussion, but I will, like I said, be opening the one-time box, and Once Upon a Book Club does all kinds of one-time boxes in addition to their monthly subscription that we decided to get for our book club. Now we do have 2 more reads for our book club this year. We are currently in the midst of reading The Teacher, which was the title for another book box, and then we have also ordered their I think it's not spooky box anymore because they usually do 2 Halloween boxes. I think it's like the Mischief box. So we've ordered another thriller for our final read for the year, so you still definitely have time to get in on that. You do not have to purchase the boxes that the books are associated with to be a part of our book clubs. We usually do a lot of our discussion over in the Facebook group, and then we do a live discussion with our book queen, Priscilla. But more about that you can find out over, like I said, in that private Facebook group. I will leave a link for that in the description box below. Now, the Once Upon a Book Club book subscription, they have young adult, middle grader, as well as adult. I'm a subscriber. I pay for my subscription for the adult box. Sometimes I'll skip around. Everyone receives the same book for the month, and that is just $49.99 per month. I do have a code, by the way, for all of your Once Upon a Book Club purchases, should you choose to go over there and either get a subscription or a one-time box. It's just Noel 10. Noel 10 will get you 10% off. It used to be mauinoel, but now it's Noel 10, and that'll get you 10% off, but I'll leave that below as well. But this box was $69.99 because it had a little bit more in it. It had 3 wrapped gifts where they were surprises, as well as 1 gift that they sort of promoted along with the box because this was kind of a highly anticipated title. I wasn't like super thrilled, honestly, with a lot of the gifts in this box, but we'll talk about it a little bit later. So for those of you who are looking for a book box but don't necessarily want to get into a subscription, the one-time boxes might be a good option. This did have some of the elements, though, of their monthly box. So this was their summer reading box. It still came with the reading guide. So it still came with like a nice interview with the author, and I read some of that in our final discussion, which is still over on my live posts. I haven't made it private yet again. They also included some discussion questions and of course the gifts. And then on the back, where they usually have something fun and extra, they have a recipe for saumonière, which is kind of a classic dish. And then they did have their quote card, which they have in every box, as well as another letter from the author, which I always think that kind of adds to my reading. I usually wait until the end, though, to read that. They also included a sticker. They are now creating these hexagonal stickers in all of their boxes so you can collect them and kind of keep a record of what you've read. You can put them on, you know, posters, or I think they have water bottles. They also included this bookmark with a quote, the same quote that was on the quote card, of course. And then finally, they did include a signed book plate, which I thought was a nice touch, and they do that a lot, especially with their special edition boxes. So inside, and it did have a different color. Usually our adult boxes come in a big pink box, and then of course there's green for the young adult, and then orange, I think, for middle grader, and then of course also for, you know, the Halloween boxes. I've gotten the Halloween boxes a lot, and in terms of their specialty boxes that they do throughout the year, like they do one for New Year's Eve, they usually do an Advent box or a countdown box. I do like the Halloween ones. It was really nice, though. I kind of liked this taupe interior that they did with the script. It was just a little bit of a different design. So inside, like I said, there were 3 wrapped gifts, and they always do such a nice job with the packaging. Let me go ahead and pull all of these out. So 3 wrapped gifts, you know, you get the blue vibes. This was the sort of featured item, and this is actually what prevented some people from ordering the box. To me, this just seemed like them white labeling, and I am also not a huge fan of like script on boxes or things that are really like co-branded, you know, that say I got this in a book box all over them. But it was a, ooh, excuse me, basically a summer beach bag. I hadn't opened it, can you tell? So the bottom of it is kind of nice because it's got this like cooler bag, which is kind of cool. I guess this is actually separate. So it's got this little flat cooler bag, and you can tell I haven't opened this up yet. Oh goodness. So you can use this by itself. It does have like a kind of a nice shape to it, and then it's got handles, or there's this little zipper along the top where you can attach it to this beach bag. So I think that the concept of it, and this part is mesh, it's got this Velcro handle so you can put those together. It's got another zip pocket that has "A well-read woman is a dangerous thing." So, I mean, in terms of quotes from books, like, and it's not actually from the book, but in terms of quotes, it's not too bad. But you can see this has a zipper edge as well, so you can connect it to the cooler bag on the bottom. So I do like that they can be used alone or put together for a big beach bag. So it's not as terrible as I thought it was initially. This is actually not too bad, and like I said, the quote is not bad. I like all the blues. I like the styling. It seems fairly well made, even though, you know, I'm not sure where they have all of their items made. But it is kind of cool that Once Upon a Book Club has established itself in its concept and has enough of a subscriber base that they can have products that are made specifically for their boxes. I do think that's kind of cool. So it's kind of a weird shape by itself, but again, it's kind of neat that it goes on top. Or if you didn't want to use it for a cooler bag, it could be your like shoe bag or whatever other kind of things you want to use that compartment for. So I hadn't opened it up before, but not as bad as I thought. So I'm pleasantly surprised. Let me go ahead and read the blurb to you, and then we will go ahead and read the passages that are associated with the gifts. And let's have a secret password somewhere along the way. I'll find one, and then I'll tell you a little bit more about secret passwords. So it says, New England, 2022. 3 years ago, single mother Mallory Dunn received the telephone call every parent dreads. Her 10-year-old Sam was airlifted from summer camp with acute poisoning from a toxic death cap mushroom, leaving him fighting for his life. Now searching for the donor kidney that will give her son a chance for a normal life, Mallory's forced to confront two harrowing secrets from her past. Her mother's adoption from an infamous Irish orphanage in 1952, and her own all-consuming summer romance 14 years earlier with her childhood best friend Monk Adams, now one of the world's most beloved singer-songwriters. Two timelines in this, actually three, but two main ones. Egypt, 1951. So this is obviously hearkening back to her mother, right, from her adoption in the infamous Irish orphanage. After suffering tragedy beyond comprehension in the war, Hungarian refugee Hannah Ainsworth has forged a respectable new life for herself, marriage to a wealthy British diplomat with a coveted posting in glamorous Cairo. But a fateful encounter with the enigmatic manager of a hotel bristling with spies leads to a passionate affair that will reawaken Hannah's longing for everything she once lost. As revolution simmers in the Egyptian streets, a pregnant Hannah finds herself snared in a game of intrigue between two men and an act of sacrifice that will echo down the generations. Timeless and bittersweet, Husbands and Lovers takes readers on an unforgettable journey of heartbreak and redemption, from the revolutionary fires of mid-century Egypt to the moneyed beaches of contemporary New England. Acclaimed author Beatrice Williams has written a poignant and beautifully voiced novel of deeply human characters entangled by morally complex issues of privilege, class, and the female experience, inside worlds brought shimmeringly to life. So that last paragraph is pretty heavy, and it kind of tells you right up front, this is not a light summer read. So yes, there are like entanglements and secrets and, you know, romance, but it is not a light summer read, despite what the cover might imply. We did talk about in our book club how some things seemed a little implausible. I sort of wanted more imperfection, even though these are definitely all imperfect characters. I was hoping for a little bit more in terms of not the happy endings that you expect. There were a lot of happy endings in this book. So, you know, I guess I was being a little bit darker than I needed to be instead of wishing for the happy ending. I guess in that way, it was a light summer read because things all turned out how they should. So our first gift was on page 56, and this is what it looks like when you come to a page in the book, and this is how it works for the monthly boxes as well, if you want to give that a try. By the way, for the monthly boxes, they don't necessarily tell you the title, they just have the hints, but you can click on a special link now that will tell you what the actual title is if you are curious. So let's just see if I can remember what this is. Let's see. On the seesaw beach mat next to mine, Paige settles back and folds her arms behind her head. So Paige is Mallory's sister. Did I ever tell you about my Yale friend who summers on Winthrop Island, she asks. You mean Lola? Only about a dozen times a year. We were just texting each other and you're never going to believe this. I reach for my straw hat and lay it over my face. It turns out her family's house is just down the beach from Monk's place, says Paige. Isn't that weird? So Paige understands that you know, they had that romance, and she is wanting maybe her sister to rekindle things, and also they are looking for a kidney for her son, right? So there's one of the stories right there. But we got this lovely bag, and there were 2 items in here. I haven't actually opened this up. One is one of these nice collapsible roll-up sun hats. Now, I do like these. They're great for packing when you want to take a hat. They can be a little bit floppy, honestly, but it is nice when they have the nice elastic. Usually I like when the elastic is the same color as the straw so that if it's sticking out the back of your head, it's not a big deal. But this is what they wrote. They just didn't need to put the embroidered script on there. To me, that's just extra. It does have a Once Upon a Book Club tag on it though. So it says, hiding between pages of books. You know, I want to be able to wear this hat even if I'm not reading at the beach. It does have a little bow closure on the back. So these are cute. It's nice because, you know, they're adjustable, but see, you can see you kind of have to straighten them out once they've been rolled up for a little while. So that's usually the first thing I do if I do take them on vacation with me. I kind of like lay them on the bed and flatten them out. But Once Upon a Book Club, whenever they've given us sun hats, since the very beginning when I first subscribed like 5 years ago, they always put writing on the hats, and they don't need to. Like, I feel like sometimes they are trying to make things more bookish than necessary. Like, I would probably have enjoyed this hat a lot more and maybe used it if it didn't have the writing on it. That was like, I'm a book nerd. I am a book nerd, but I don't need to proclaim it to the world in everything that I wear. The second item inside was a nice beach mat, and it's that kind of grass one, so you can see. And again, more writing. It does have little handles, which is nice, so if you want to take this to a concert or a park, you can. The air still tastes of salt and memory, and it even has Beatrice Williams, Husbands and Lovers. Unnecessary. Just too much writing on things. This one is so faint, though, you can barely see it, of course. And then this has this tie closure, which I don't know if I can actually untie that. It seems like, oh, it's got a little plastic cord on it. So then this is going to unwrap and then unfold, of course, so that you've got this nice beach blanket. It's kind of the size of a towel. Oh no, it's a little bit wider. So it actually unfolds in 3s. So these are nice. That's just one gift, very summery. So the gifts themselves were good in summery. You know, I don't know, you guys. Like, just plain would have been so much better. This material feels like a reusable grocery bag, so I'm not sure how durable that's going to be, but I like the idea. I just don't need, I feel like they could spend less money and just do the white labeling, but without the actual labels. All right, the next item was on page 150. So 150, this was a pretty good one. So now we are back in Egypt time. Let's see if I can find this one. The door opened almost at once. Lucien stood in his shirt sleeves, collar undone, hair falling onto his forehead, bruised more livid than ever. He held a lowball glass filled with ice against his jaw. Before she could say a word, he pulled her into the room and closed the door. He set down the glass on the lamp table and reached for her waist. Unlike her, he hadn't yet bathed, hadn't undressed. The air was thick with smoke, though the window was open. His body sang with heat. When he bent his head to kiss her, she laid a hand against his chest. So spicy, right? And you can probably guess that was not a husband from the title. All right, so this is this. This was probably my favorite gift in the whole box. And then, of course, it has the whiskey glass. It does tell us to hand wash only. So it's a 10-ounce whiskey glass. It's a little bit more ornate than what I usually like. You know, it's supposed to look like a cut glass, like Waterford crystal or something. So it's just a little like highball or lowball glass. I like things in sets, so I would have preferred for us to get 2, even though, you know, sometimes they're a little more literal than they need to be from the passage that they've chosen for the inspiration. But here we go. This was the nicest one. I would have preferred, like I said, a set. I don't know that they would have been able to save that much money from not printing on the hat, but a set would have been nice. But that's the kind of like more quality item that I could see myself using, and I did in fact during our discussion. All right, and then finally on page 264, let's see if I can find this one. It's been a while now since I finished this book. We're on to our next one. And the last one is, now this is an item that recurred and we knew was sort of really important and symbolic throughout the novel, and it makes its way from the old timeline to the current timeline. So I was very worried that they were going to do kind of a cheesy, cheap interpretation of this item when they could have been a little bit more subtle, or it could have just been a nod to something. We'll talk about that in a second. Let's see. There was no note. She ran her finger along the inside of the box, examined the cotton wool, the other side of the brown paper in which the box had been wrapped. Not a word, only her name and address in those sterile block letters. She lifted the bracelet to the glow from the passing street lamps. A pair of tiny emerald eyes stared back at her. A tiny ruby tongue tasted the air. The hood exquisitely flared. The tail wound around the wearer's wrist in a delicate spiral. In the artificial noon, surging and falling as the lamps went by, Hannah could have sworn it was alive. She meant to wrap it back in its cotton wool and stuff it inside the box. Instead, she found herself sliding the bracelet over her right hand to clasp her wrist. A perfect fit. So it's this beautiful cobra bracelet that, even though it's got jewels and it seems like it could be kind of gaudy later when we find out about it in contemporary times, it was like, you know, exquisite. It was just like tastefully done. So it had to be very delicate. So I was worried because obviously they're not going to send us fine jewelry in a book box at this cost. So I was like, you know, like just a nod to it, like not with rubies or emeralds or fake rubies and emeralds, maybe just a simple gold bracelet with like a little snake head, or maybe just a simple gold bracelet, a simple gold bangle that was sort of just a nod to the important snake bracelet would have been far better than what we wound up with, in my personal opinion. I do think that we got the value of the box between the hardcover book and the 4 gifts, but honestly, I would have rather them given me an extra highball glass, you know, the mat, the hat without writing, and then yes, the beach bag maybe without writing. I like that. I like the idea of the cooler bag and beach bag. I like the idea of the hat, the highball glass, but this to me was just sort of it was just probably like one of the cheaper, tackier versions of this that they could possibly do. So it's got rhinestone tail and head. There are little fake gems for the eyes, but they're not even green. There is no tongue. There's no hood really to speak of because it's supposed to be a cobra necklace. And it's just big and chunky, and it just looks like costume jewelry that you would wear, like, I don't know, like a Cleopatra costume for Halloween. To me, that was just something that I would personally never wear. And I feel like it did a disservice to what was supposed to be something elegant. Like, I wish they had not even tried to create this item, which is made of zinc alloy, or if they had done something, I don't know. To me, that was the biggest disappointment. The fact that it was the last gift made it even more disappointing, when I think that the funds could have been used better. I know a lot of you are going to defend Once Upon a Book Club, and you might say that you think it's really fun in like a kitschy way. I just personally, I was like, throughout the book, I was like, oh, they're going to do the bracelet and it's not going to be doing well. And I was, I think I was right personally, but you guys let me know what you thought otherwise about all of the other gifts. And I will close with, let's actually have Cobra be our secret password, of course. So when you come across a secret password in one of my videos, you want to enter it along with your contact information in the Google form that is linked for you in the description box below. Please do not put it into the comments. You have to be 18 years or older. You have to be subscribed to my channel. It doesn't have to be publicly. I can verify with you via email. And you do have to have a US or Canadian mailing address. About 5 days into the following month, I will use a random number picker to select a few winners to receive mystery boxes as my way of saying thank you for watching my video. videos. It is in no way affiliated with YouTube or any of the boxes that I open here on the channel. It's just my way of saying thank you for watching and also for all of your support, and also a way for me to share a lot of the goodies that I get from these different boxes. So this will be the September secret password, or actually one of the September secret passwords. There's usually about a dozen of them scattered throughout the videos, and today's secret password is Cobra. So let's end with the letter from Beatrice. It says, a few years ago, I came across a newspaper article about how the rise in DNA ancestry research has exposed a galaxy of family secrets, from adoptions to affairs to hidden ethnicities. One subject who traced her mother's descent through one of the notorious Irish orphanages back to an extramarital liaison with a hotel manager in a former colony of the British Empire, and right away my imagination started filling in the vast empty spaces of a story that seemed almost limitless in its potential for human and historical drama. If you've read any of my books, you know I'm obsessed with the way our past communicates with our present, whether it's the butterfly wings of history, the experiences of our grandparents, or the choices we make in our earlier years. Everything that goes before becomes part of who we are today. Single Mallory Dunn, the main character of Husbands and Lovers, uncovers more than she ever imagined when she explores her own mother's history in order to find a potential kidney donor for her son, Sam. And she's also forced to confront her own past in the form of Sam's father, her childhood friend and one-time sweetheart, the irrepressibly charismatic Monk Adams, who's now one of the world's most beloved singer-songwriters and possibly the most appealing leading man I've ever created. Thank you so much for choosing to spend your summer with Husbands and Lovers. I hope you enjoy all the delightful extras in your special book box, and that these characters and their rich histories linger in your heart as they have in mine. So, I didn't find a favorite character, but I did enjoy the book. It made, like I said, a good book club read. I hope some of you will consider joining us for our next one. Thank you so much for watching my video, and I will see you soon in my next unboxing. Make sure you get that secret password entered.